and welcome to this edition of Business Supes, where we talk with successful business owners, learn a little bit about them, their business, and of course, their business superpower. Today, I am joined by John Johnson from IBG Business. John, thanks so much for being here.
I'm glad to be here. It's my pleasure.
Well, fantastic. Well, we're excited to have you. I think this is going to be a great one. So why don't we kick things off here and just have you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the business? What's your origin story?
I started down this road, I guess, when I went to college at the University of Tulsa, got a petroleum engineering degree, and began working with Amoco, which was a subsidiary of Standard of Indiana, which is now, I think, part of Exxon or maybe Mobil. I haven't followed exactly where it's gone. I began doing analytical work with professionals while I was in school and worked in the field, and eventually got my degree and actually left Tulsa and went to work for Champlain Petroleum in Fort Worth, small integrated oil company, and did the same type of work: strategy planning, economic analyses, feasibility studies, mergers and acquisitions, and so forth, and eventually wound up in the Union Pacific Corporation holding company in New York. They were the owners of Champlain, and was involved in strategy, acquisitions, management liaisons, et cetera. And I eventually left there and came back to Oklahoma and was involved in running and growing a petroleum distribution business, gathering crude oil in the field, transporting, marketing, doing the administrative and so forth. And eventually that market crashed, became a riverboat speculation business, gambling as opposed to a service business. And we opted to sell. And the company that bought us was a stock exchange company, and they didn't need me. And so I started looking for what to do. I thought maybe I'd go back to work, but having been away from the corporate situation, I really knew I didn't want to do that. And so I started a company in 1987 called Bluestem Resources, or Bluestem USA. And I owned and ran that up until about 2 years ago, when I sold it to a successor. And now I do the same things, except I don't own the business. And so it was a method of stepping out of it. And that company did work on behalf of owners, helping them sell and successfully transition out of the business. I guess we sold businesses in about 7 states during that time. And I won't repeat all of what we did because it's consistent with the rest of the story. During that time, I formed a partnership with some experts out of the oil and gas industry. And that company is called the Oil and Gas Advisor. And we do the same thing as Bluestem, but rather than being geographically focused, we're industry focused. The third company that I formed with partners was IBG Business. I was able to align with 3 great partners, each of us having about 35 years in the M&A business, doing the same sorts of transactions on behalf of business owners, helping them successfully exit, as we sometimes say, retiring millionaires. What we do in that business is working with business owners. It could be on the buy side, but primarily it's on the sell side, helping them understand how their company will fit in the market, evaluation in terms of pricing strategy, how to prepare the information to be used to give to the appropriate people at the appropriate time, working to manage the transaction from start to finish. So that's where I've come from, what I do.
And I think this will be really interesting to a lot of folks, because business owners very often end up starting a business for whatever reasons, and they don't always think about that end goal, right? It's okay, when I end, do I just shut it down, or is there somebody out there to buy it from me? And if I'm the only one working in it all the time, then I really don't have anything to sell other than a job in a lot of cases. So I guess the first question I would have around that is, how often do you have somebody approach you to help them sell their business and they're not ready to sell their business? it's not ready to be sold, or it's not viable, I guess.
Often it is not ready. Often that doesn't matter. They need to anyway at the time they come to us. But we are quick to say this business would be better if you held on to it for a few years and took some preparatory steps and got it better ready. Doesn't always work out that way. A lot of times when they come, it's pretty well ordained that they are going to move forward with a sale for whatever reason. And our job is to maximize and get the top results given that situation.
So in that case, what are some of the issues that get in the way of the business not being sellable? What are some of the challenges that you see?
The ideal business is wildly profitable, has barriers to entry, no significant customer concentration, a good management and line staff below the owner, proper motivation from the owner. All of those things can be obstacles to the sale or can help enhance value. Some of the difficult things, I used to consider taking the sale of a used equipment business. But as you alluded to, all of the knowledge and expertise is in the owner's head. And how do you transfer that? So we look for transferable value. How is this going to go to the buyer? Because the more they can transfer the value to themselves and then enhance the value, the more value we can get for our clients.
So of those that you listed, the profitability, the barriers to entry, good management, good owner, which of those tends to be the one that you see the most?
I guess probably customer concentration gets in way. I didn't mention it, but the repeatability of the results, the stickiness of the customers, those are often difficult.
Yeah, you're right. That's the one I didn't get written down in time. Yeah, and that's a great point, because I do see that with a lot of businesses where they have a lot of their eggs in that one basket, and that makes the business much more volatile for somebody, because if that big customer goes away, then the business isn't worth what it what it pretends to be. So
I've got the luxury of managing that. That's a good thing to manage.
Thinking back to what owning your own business, what was it about owning your own business that you really liked?
Well, I experienced working in the corporate environment with large companies, and I really loved that. I loved everything that I did. But then I got into the entrepreneurial business and really found that I was responsible for my actions, my decisions, my successes, and my failures. And that felt good to me. And, I've always looked to that. And having started in this business 35 plus years ago, that's what always juices me, is being able to perform for the people that hire me and be responsible for it.
And it's funny because I asked that question to pretty much everybody, and it always comes back to some type of freedom, right? So the freedom to take control of your destiny, the freedom to make money, the freedom to control your own time, the freedom to pick whoever you work with. So I just every single time you can tie it back to freedom, which I think is a pretty cool thing. So what are some of the challenges that you faced as a business owner?
Well, the challenges in our business have remained the same over the life of it, and that is find good quality clients. We've learned not to work with the ones that are unworkable. Saying it euphemistically, we've adopted a rule. It's a no jerk rule, and we choose not to work with jerks because it's hard and it's unpleasant and usually doesn't work. The other thing is just getting through to a business owner when it's timely for them to consider selling, and get them to pay attention. If we get someone's ear, if a trusted advisor tells them that we are someone they need to work with, then life is a lot easier and better.
No, and it's funny because I have that conversation with clients all the time. We talk about the A and the B customers, and then the C and the D customers, and the F customers, and really just getting rid of those bottom three, because they tend to want you to give them more than they're paying you. They tend to be very difficult to work with. They tend to end up costing you more, whether it's time, energy, or resources, than they're worth. So and I like that no jerks moniker there. So I think I'm gonna snag that and use that. That's pretty cool.
Kind of
So
funny
you mentioned,
anecdote,
I'm sorry.
a quick anecdote that goes with that. We sold a gentleman's manufacturing business,
Mhm.
and he was very happy with what we did. But all through, he said, you know, you guys just charge too much. You charge too much. You charge too much. Then he came to work with us, and he had the experience of selling some businesses. He said, we don't charge enough. We don't charge enough.
Yeah, it is always interesting when you get on the other side of the coin. So you were talking about business owners and it being the right time to sell. So what does that tend to look like? I mean, what would you advise somebody would be the opportune time for them to pull the trigger and sell their business?
Well, it's helpful to choose the right time economically, but it's hard to choose the peak. It's hard to know when it's already turned over. Uh, One rule that I've kind of put in place for myself in thinking about that is just don't hold your ticket too long. We've dealt with companies that were really in a liquidation phase because the owner held on past their ability to effectively manage the company. So that's one thing. We've had a couple of clients that have had terminal illnesses that have come up during the process or as we started it. And that's difficult. You like to see the clients have a life of fulfillment and health after the sale. Other things are personal motivations. We had a client who had a good business. He had his younger brother involved, and I said, "Gosh, it's good business. You know, build it, fix the problems, don't sell it." They said, "John, I can't. It is wrecking my family. It's destroying my parents' health. We have incompatible goals and objectives and ethics." I said, "Sell it to him. He won't buy it. Buy it from him. He won't sell it. The only thing we can agree to is sell the business." So there are just unique sets of motivation that lead to it. Often it's age or health. Sometimes the most frequent reason in industry surveys is burnout. You just do it so long and you say, it's enough, I'm through.
No, that's a great point because firsthand as well that owning your own business really is a roller coaster,
It is.
and the highs are great. Sometimes the lows are just a punch in the gut. So yeah, burnout is a huge issue. All right. So the question that started this whole thing out: what is your business superpower?
My business superpower. I would say that it is strategic insight or strategic vision. I learned a term not long ago that I probably can't pronounce very well, but it's coup d'oeil. And it refers to at a glance. And the strategic insight that I'm talking about is the ability to see and size up situations quickly, almost instinctively. It's what a great field general has when they look at the battlefield and the dynamics. It's what a top quarterback has when they size up the defense and then react to the dynamics of the play. And I think trying to explain it as I feel it, I see it in my partners, I see it in business. It's the synthesis of all that has brought us where we are. It's the wisdom, it's the intellect, it's the experience, it's the training. You know, it's just having been in the trenches and understanding. Clients often appreciate what they refer to as, "Gosh, you're able to see over the hill and around the corner and tell us what to expect, tell us what's coming, what people are setting up to do for us or with us later." And I would say in a nutshell, that's it.
That's a fantastic superpower to have. As you were saying that, it was making me think of the great quarterbacks who talk about how the game just slows down and they can
Yeah.
see everything moving in slow motion. And that kind of reminded me of that. So that's really, really neat. All right. So last question. What piece of advice do you have for other business owners?
Do I have to be serious or can I be a little
You can,
facetious?
this is your interview. You can say whatever you want.
When I was in my MBA program and taking a strategic class, strategy class, and not meaning to be sexist, but in the time, this was true, and it's what the professor said. He said, boys, for you all to be successful in your career, you need to practice diligent effort and rigorous self-denial. You need to avoid merriment and other diversions. I haven't done a great job of that, but at least it always stuck with me. I would say determination, empathy for the client, uh, honesty and integrity with yourself and with those that you work in. In our business, we refer to clients as the people who sell, who we work with, and customers who make the buyer of the business. And gosh, be straightforward with them. Don't try to play tricks. Just pull all the elements together and make the best deal that can be made.
And that's great advice, John. So thanks for taking some time today to hang out with us and chat, and for sharing your business superpower.
It's my pleasure, and I look forward to talking to you again.